Hey you, so on this video I wanted to talk about why you shouldn't stack silver. So I've been conversating with a friend over the past couple of days and many things have came about, and he seems to be having some type of buyer's remorse regarding silver, be it the cryptos are doing good and just other things, and it's just stems from a lot of the current frustration in the metal stagnation. That's the best way to put it. So with something else, i.e. cryptocurrency, it being called a coin, and him seeing that, it's really brought a downer on his whole silver stack and him wanting to pull out of silver. So I wanted to make this video for anybody that may be like him, or anybody that's under any type of thought or belief that silver is going to offer you something that it may not, or you coming into silver for a certain reason. So I wanted to give these 5 reasons for why you shouldn't silver stack if these reasons strongly apply to you, or you're not able to meet the criteria as I'm going to mention in this video. Now, this is purely my own opinion, it's not law, it's just something I would tell a close friend for why they may want to steer clear of silver, and these would be the reasons why. So breaking straight into this, I would say reason number 1 is going to be if you got into silver through a noticeable famous spokesperson for it. Now, a lot of the times if you're going to be talking about any of these people, from Robert Kiyosaki to Morgan to Dwayne to Mahoney, within one of their videos, now I want to mention, I personally like these individuals. I have no dislike towards them. I don't think they're pumpers. I mean, they're promoting a metal, so it's not like they have a patent patented on this metal and you have to purchase from them. But I'm using them as examples because many may have come about knowing about silver from these guys, and any one of these guys could have a video out stating that tomorrow silver's going to be $500 or 500 pounds an ounce, and you've got to get in now, and the rush is here, and if you don't get the silver now. So what I was saying for reason number 1 is, if you came into silver stacking or got into it under the belief that tomorrow silver is going to be X, Y, and Z, a lot more than it is today, I would really say you should consider, highly consider, getting into, well, reconsider about getting into silver stacking, because what we've all come to find out, depending on how long we've been in the game, I mean, it's got to the point where individuals now class them as pumpers for a reason. Now, I've been involved in other things that have gone on to do fantastic things from my initial input. Say for instance, I've purchased something at £600, it's gone on to sell for 7,000 plus. Now, that in that genre there was no individuals prophesizing that this would happen. So it was very quiet, and overnight it literally happened, and it left me speechless. I was over the moon. It was fantastic. Whereas with silver, we have this product at such a low price, and we have a load of individuals prophesizing what's going to happen when that day happens. And I believe you me, I've personally known individuals that got in just off the strength of seeing Mr. Rich Dad Poor Dad holding a piece of silver, saying it's going to be this, them looking at who he is and his stature and what he's achieved, and thought if he can, I can. And I would tell you now that's not the case from what I've personally seen. Now, I've always said I think these individuals should say when the day comes, every speech they give, because that's what I believe. I can't tell you what it's going to be, but within my own self, I know it will be something great. But I think it's dangerous if you come in under the pretense believing that if you pick this up today, tomorrow, or as soon as this September or next September, whatever reason, whoever's saying it today is going to happen. I don't think you should get into silver purely off of the strength of that. I think you should do a lot more research than just believing that silver is going to rise to $500 an ounce because X, Y, and Z said so. So that's going to be the first reason as to why I don't think you should get into silver stacking, purely off the basis that an individual has said it's going to be X, Y, and Z. I wouldn't call it greed, because you want to take advantage of this opportunity that presents itself and you want to capitalize and make large funds, but I would say you need to do a lot more homework into it than that, and purely don't get into it just for that. Whereas a portion of me also has got into it for that, but I don't believe and I don't hang on to their every last word. So that's going to be the first reason for why I think an individual shouldn't get into silver stacking. So for reason number two, it's going to be a reason I hear a lot of individuals getting out of it for, and individuals I personally know. To date, haven't suffered from this problem, and that's going to be portability. It's a big issue for a lot of individuals that when you're stacking silver, silver takes up a lot of weight. We're going to compare it to its closest relative, gold. It takes up a lot of weight. So at some point in your stacking career, and especially if you've got funds or savings and you want to allocate a portion of it into precious metals, i.e. silver, you should really consider, one, how much you intend to put into this from the offset. So if you're going to look to put in a certain amount of your paycheck and eventually want to end up with, say, $5,000 worth of silver, you're going to have to really take into consideration how much space that's going to take up. And are you prepared for that? Whether it's going to be what type of storage you're going to use and so forth. Because a lot of individuals that have been into silver sooner or later run into the issue of portability. One, i.e. you're not able to pick up and go, and how much space silver takes up. So that's definitely something you may want to consider, because there's a lot more people getting out of silver or converting silver into gold purely off of those reasons, as it can take up a lot of space in comparison to gold. Now, I've always said currently, so if you imagine they're looking at it as 1 ounce of gold is when they're going by pounds. Now, say 1,000 pounds and 1 ounce of silver is, I don't know, £10 or £15 or so, but you can get a lot more wealth stored into the ounce of gold than in silver. So it's going to take you X, Y, and Z amount of ounces of silver. But as the ratio goes down, and if we do see a price correction, if you can weather the storm, then you can reap the benefits at the end. But portability is definitely something a lot of people don't take into consideration. So you have to look at your situation, whether you're going to be moving at a later date, whether you're going to need to switch storage locations, whether your stack needs to be portable enough for you to pick up and go with. That's definitely something you want to take into consideration, and something you should look at. And it may be one reason for why you may want to stack silver. So that's going to be portability. So for reason number three, it's going to be silver is fast down and slow up. So i.e. it's extremely volatile, and it's a lot more effective on the weight stackers. It can be a lot more brutal on the weight stackers. So when I say fast down and slow up, if you're an individual that wants to see steady gains, or slow up and slow down, or just some type of organized pace, you're not going to get that with silver. If you could be a nervous Nelson every now and then and think if it hits this, I'm out, you have to be. I think I'm young enough to weather the storm, and I'm up and down, so I'm all in for the roller coaster ride. But for a lot of people, and from what I've personally seen for the come to 3 years that I've been stacking, you get a lot more downs with silver than you do with gold. And when I say a lot more downs, you're going to get a lot more low numbers than high numbers. Silver currently is dragging its feet just to touch back up to anywhere close to its highs, and I can't see it happening anytime soon. I mean, when it takes a hitting, it takes a very big hitting, and it damn near crawls back up. So it spends a lot of the time in the trenches with silver. So somebody referred to it as the devil's metal in one of the comments that I had, and I'd have to agree. So if you're of that nature where you don't like seeing deep swings down on any type of investment or security that you've put your funds into, it's going to be another big reason for why you do not want to get into silver stacking, because it can spend a lot of the time down in the dumps. And if that's going to worry you, then don't put yourself through that stress. Go into something less, volatile, i.e. gold. And especially if you're going to be in a position where you're going to want to sell, because if you're purchasing, and depending on when you purchase, you have a very high likelihood of seeing it a lot lower, especially when you're coming to sell for spot. So that's going to be another reason for why you would not want to get into silver stacking. It's very fast down and extremely slow up currently. Now, I, with my own self-confidence, know that when the day comes, that's not going to be the case. And you see a lot of people running. I mean, when you're talking silver and gold, it's an old investment. It's not new, i.e. like the current buzz, like the metal, the cryptos. It's just the talk of the town at the moment. So a lot of people know about the metals, i.e. you can ask anybody what gold or silver is. They can tell you what it is, but they don't know the true intrinsic value and the monetary value of the metals. So it's one of those things a lot of people know about, but don't know about. So when it comes, it's not going to be something everybody's going to get into now. But once its time comes to shine, I understand that it's going, you won't be able to hold on to the stuff. So it's just whether you can weather that out. And if you're not, and you can't, and you're not the type of individual that can, then you definitely shouldn't get into silver stacking. So reason number 4 is going to be, it does not have a set schedule on which it pays a dividends to you. So individuals that are used to, I don't know, I know individuals that still, believe it or not, put money into things like the premium bonds. Now, even though they're not guaranteed a win at the end of the month, it's the fact of knowing that they're not going to lose their initial input and they can win. When you're putting your money into something like metals, i.e. silver, it's not going to pay you a scheduled dividends. You're not going to, and it's definitely if you have it in, if you're a weight stacker. So don't be looking and thinking that, well, if I'm putting money, if I'm putting $5,000 or pounds into this, I mean, even with my dead savings account, I get 1% or 0.000 something. So this isn't the case. Now, when you're looking at it purely for the metal content and you're stacking just weight, you're looking at some type of gains when spots going up and down, but unless you're cashing out, you're not physically taking those gains. So for this reason alone, it's why I got more into the collector coins, so I could really see and reap the benefits and enjoy myself. And a lot of people have evolved within just stacking pure weight, and that was one of the main reasons, because it can pay a dividend. It's not a scheduled quarterly or yearly or so forth, but if you do it right, you can work out your own dividends where you're able to cash out with certain coins. So if you think that's the case, where you're going to take some type of savings, put it into silver and expect to see some type of dividends, that's not going to be the case. This isn't that type of investment. So you really need to do your homework into what is, and then maybe when the day comes, it will pay in the long run in terms of insurance and whatever you believe it's going to do for you. So that's going to be reason number 4. So reason number 5 is going to really latch on to all the ones that came before it, and it would be more of advice I would give to an individual, as I've seen a lot more turning away, and this is from personal individuals that I know. So I would say silver is a long game. So just to deter from, if you've heard one of the speakers say it's going to be 500 tomorrow, you don't know about the portability and any of the fast downs and slows up, just walking through the door, I would give a time frame now and say it's a long game, and it's going to be a 10 years minimum. If I knew an individual and they wanted to get into the metals, I would say, listen, from the first ounce you buy, i.e. one, you want to have it with funds that you're not going to need to dip back into. You don't want to be putting your last £1,000 or dollars into your new current silver stack. If that's the case, you're going to be better off dollar cost averaging, picking up a set amount a month. But either way, if you cannot dedicate 10 years minimum to this, then it should really be something that you need to reconsider. Now, 10 years is a good time frame to see anything double, whether it be houses and so forth. It's a time frame that I gave myself to come back and reassess and take a look at the stack and see how well it's doing. But it should give any type of time waster to themselves, because you're only going to be wasting your own time, and it will end up hurting your own pocket if you're looking to get into this, not like it for some reason, and check out anytime soon, especially with silver, as the price you'll get back won't be the price you paid in the first place. So I would say if you can't dedicate 10 years minimum to silver stacking, then it's definitely something that you don't want to be involved in, and it's definitely something you don't want to stack. So leaving you with those 5 reasons there as to why I think an individual shouldn't be stacking silver. It'll be fantastic if some of the mature stackers would give their any tips in the comments as to why they would also agree on why an individual shouldn't stack silver, and anybody else that would like to leave some comments. I mean, we all stack silver. I've done my research. I'm not gonna point an individual out to any of these high profile individuals, because should something go wrong or they don't see it within the time frame that they've said in the video or book, then you're gonna find an individual start hanging on to that individual's last words. Then they'll start becoming angry stackers, pointing fingers and so forth. So I think it's one of these things you really need to do your own homework in. I don't promote it or push it or sell it to anybody, because it's one of those things that once you found it for your own reasons and you're secure with it, then we can vibe with one another and move forward from there. So it's a long game. If you can't put 10 years minimum into this, I personally wouldn't get into it. So these are my reasons for why an individual shouldn't stack silver. I'm in the silver game for the long haul. I love it, and I've got many videos explaining why. So hate or love it, be fantastic to know what you think. Go ahead and leave a comment, and go ahead and subscribe if you ain't done so already, and I'll catch you guys on the rebound.